Joe Torre and Joe Girardi, Kevin P. Coughlin, Charles Wenzelberg, Cleveland. It wasn't midges this time. It was a mind cramp. But the damage was just as devastating, both to a Yankees team fighting for its life against the hometown Indians in Game 2 of an American League Division Series, and to the reputation of a manager who had spent much of his tenure enjoying mostly positive reviews. Exactly 10 years and 1 day after Joe Torre refused to ask umpires to halt the game when a swarm of microscopic bugs made a collective beeline from Lake Erie to the pitcher's mound, feasting on and ultimately freaking out Joba Chamberlain, it seemed some of those old critters might have made a return appearance, settling instead in the nook of Joe Girardi's brain that houses common sense. Torre had the misfortune of making his faux pas when George Steinbrenner was still alive, and it cost him his job by the time the next week was over. Joe Girardi won't answer to his harsh authority, but he will have some explaining to do, to his fans, to his players, and to history itself, to a record which will forever insist the Indians won an epic 98 thriller Friday night when this should have been a walkover. Tough game, but we have no choice to come back from this, first baseman Greg Bird said, reflecting the mood in a clubhouse, trying desperately not to look as despondent as it felt. We get to go home now, which will be an advantage for us. Note to Girardi: steer clear of talk radio for a day or two. Or forever. Girardi was the main culprit because he's the guy who wears the annual Yankees goal, number 28, on his back, for the world to see and, on occasions like this, to aim arrows at. He wasn't alone. The Yankees built an 83 lead in the 6th inning, and 5-run playoff leads don't just disappear because the manager makes a bad decision. In this case, for instance, that bad decision just made 4/5 of the lead disappear. 2 quick strikes from Chad Green to pinch hitter Lonnie Chisenhall. 4 gritty foul balls from Chisenhall, stone cold after 2.5 hours on the bench. And then an inside pitch, Green to Chisenhall. Green grunted on the mound at the pitch. Awful mistake, he said, but thought it was just ball one. From his reaction, so did Chisenhall, who didn't make a motion toward first. But home plate umpire Dan Isogna gestured to first. He thought Chisenhall had been hit by the ball. And it turns out everyone was wrong. The ball had hit the knob of Chisenhall's bat, deflected into Gary Sanchez's mitt. Should have been strike 3. Should have been end 9. Yankees still up 5. Sanchez tried to argue that point. Nobody, it seems, was listening. Gary Sanchez pumps his fist after hitting a first-inning, torn home run. Anthony J. Kazi Starlin Castro gives a thumbs down to the Yankees dugout in celebration of his double in the first inning. Charles Wenzelberg Corey Kluber hands the ball to Terry Francona, as the Yankees force his exit in the 3rd inning. Getty Images: CC Sabathia celebrates, after a strikeout in the 2nd inning. Getty Images: Aaron Hicks Wright jumps up to high-five Starlin Castro after giving the Yankees a big lead with a 3-run home run in the 3rd inning. Getty Images: Greg Bird Wright meets Didi Gregorius at the plate after hitting a torn home run in the 5th inning. AP Francisco Lindor rounds the bases after hitting a grand slam off Chad Green in the 6th inning. APJ Bruce rounds the bases after tying the game on a solo home run off David Robertson in the 8th inning. Getty Images up next. It's a reviewable play. The Yankees still had 2 reviews left. Girardi later said the super slow-motion version of the play was slow in coming. He added a little nonsense about being an old catcher, not wanting to interrupt his players' rhythm. 10 years ago, Torre said he never even considered asking Bruce Froemming, the home plate ump, to stop the game so the midges could retreat, and Froemming wasn't inclined to do so if asked, terming the bugs irritants, like light rain. In reality, Torre had no recourse. But admitting what he did went a long way toward drilling the final stake in his fate. Girardi had no such restraint. He had 2 challenges burning holes in his pocket. It's like a football coach ending a game with unused timeouts. It makes no sense. Asked if he regretted not doing that, Girardi said, I guess I could have, and let's just say it is good that this Joe is working for a different Steinbrenner than the last one was. Of course, this didn't force Green to immediately surrender a grand slam that Francisco Lindor hit off the right field foul pole, immediately turning this from footnote to folly. It didn't force David Robertson to admit he was annoyed at an Isogna call that left Jay Bruce with a 3-1 count instead of 22, at which point Bruce promptly deposited the next pitch in the bleachers to tie it at 88. Didn't force Ronald Torres to commit one of the worst base-running blunders you'll ever see, getting picked off as a pinch runner, no less, with no outs in the 11th. And didn't force the Yanks to go scoreless across the game's final 8 innings. You'll think about all of that if winter arrives ahead of schedule in a few days. But what you'll remember most was the madness that replaced the midges, 10 years and 1 day later. That will be forever.